Insanity is good here. Welcome back to Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments. We are about to start a new case called the Abbey Grange Affair.
No, the game is afoot. Not a word. Into your clothes and come. I'll wait for you in the sitting room. I've just received a note from Inspector Lestrade, a letter from the suburbs. He is in need of my presence. Whenever he has asked for my assistance, it has always turned out to be entirely justified. I fancy that every one of his cases has found its way into your collection.
Yes, they all seem worthy of...
However, I regret your fatal habit of looking at everything from the point of view of a story instead of a scientific exercise.
Oh, Holmes, you...
I beg your pardon, I digress. It would be much better to examine this letter than to try to convince you.
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look. The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
Oh, I thought we were playing as Watson for a second there. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, hey, what's up, lady? How you doing?
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts.
Alright. I thought we were...
The letter is on the table.
Yes, okay, let's look at it. Somebody else shut up. Let's see here.
I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he was in a hurry when he wrote this letter. A wax seal with the monogram E.B. The Brackenstall family coat of arms.
So you used their stationery. Abbey Grange, Marsham of Kent, 3:30 a.m. My dear Mr. Holmes, I should be very glad of your immediate assistance in what promises to be a most remarkable case. It is something quite in your line. Except for releasing the lady, I will say that everything is kept exactly as I have found it, but I beg you not to lose an instant, as it is difficult to leave Sir Eustace there. Yours faithfully, Inspector Lestrade. Of course, we gotta go help the rich people.
So, what is it, Holmes?
Promising, as always, it appears to be a case of murder.
So you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. These people belong to high society. The quality of the writing paper, the E.B. monogram, their coat of arms. The crime was committed before midnight.
Holmes, how can you possibly tell?
Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Scotland Yard was notified. Lestrade himself had to make haste there, and finally compose the letter he sent to me. All of that makes for a fair night's work.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Lestrade also speaks of the woman he released.
That seems to indicate that she had been held somewhere during the crime. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
Do we have... Oh. The Times. Colossal scandal in high society. Well-known and remarkable archaeologist, the pride of our nation, Sir Rodney Bencliffe, has been found murdered. The crime took place at the Roman Baths of Strand Lane, the location of the archaeologist's most recent research. But what is most truly shocking is that the murder of Sir Rodney was at the hands of his former friend and partner, Percival Blinkhorn. The death sentence is the only possible punishment for this breed of villain. guess maybe maybe once we get to the very end of the game, we'll check all of the, oh. Let's see if we can change our outfit, eh? I guess we'll just keep it the same because I don't think the game's letting me do anything fun. Alright. Let's go to Abbey Grange. Alright. See what we're dealing with here.
Ah, Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Lady Brackenstall has come to her senses, and she has given so clear an account of the affair that there is not much left for us to do. You remember that Lewisham gang of burglars?
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid to raise a right.
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
Look, it's Brigham Young.
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Alright, let's take a look around first.
Lord Ramsay Brackenstall.
Who's this guy?
Sir Warthen Brackenstall. Lord Brigham Brackenstall.
Oh, I was making a joke. It turned out I got his name right. Gotta look at that now. That's like anything else in here.
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Morning room. I have no idea what
Lady
that is.
Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Oh, it's making me talk to her first. Wanted to take a look around. Oh wait, who's this?
Lord George Brackenstall.
Who's this guy?
Lady Brackenstall awaits...
No.
Baron Lyndon Brackenstall. The Brackenstall family seems rather austere.
That must be like that guy's son or something, because they look a lot alike. Alright, I guess she's in here.
Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you that, even if I were to attempt to deny it.
Let's see here. What's that? Cheeks.
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room until after 11, absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and... oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw two others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And then?
When I came to myself, I found that they had secured me tightly to a dining room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
He fought with the intruders?
Yes, I think he had heard them, for he was holding his stick. But they were three, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, the elder one, struck him a terrible blow with the poker. I fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Then my brave Teresa came to my assistance.
Is there anything missing?
Did these three villains steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard, but you can see for yourself in the dining room.
Alright, so about that marriage...
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
Yeah, about those old bruises.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those bruises?
Oh, do you... Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time. Out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Your ladyship?
Why did you marry him then? Let's talk to you.
Teresa, I would like to hear your testimony.
Certainly, sir.
I'd like to talk to you without her around. Yeah, servants. They always seem more than you would think. Wrinkles. Handkerchief, vinegar smell. Sustation. Okay. Working hands, yes. Coffee stain. So about last night.
As I sat by my bedroom window, I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge gate. But I thought nothing of it at the time. Oh, if I'd known.
And then?
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress scream. And down I ran, to find her tied to the chair and him on the floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
You wouldn't say anything about random strangers in your freaking yard. Alright, that's gonna be the prompt to do this. So, what's this picture? Oh.
These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame. A trapper's hut. This is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it.
Okay, so we got a save. Newspaper. Let's see. Family business booming. The Randall gang is back on the street. Less than a fortnight ago, the infamous family burglars, the Randalls, as they are known, made their reappearance by way of a brutal but successful intrusion into one of the wealthier homes in Sydenham. The police are already on their trail. However, the details of the crime are being kept confidential, including that of the name of the victim. A witness was able to provide a precise description of all 3 men, and this will surely give the police a chance to complete their profile on this family of delinquents. Oh, hello, person who has joined us. We would take the liberty of reminding our esteemed readers about this highly dangerous band and to provide the full description as it is available at this moment. The gang has been in business for some considerable time, being a family of three, a father and his 2 sons. The elder, Jack Randall, is a man in his 40s and already gray-haired, while of average height and build. Being the mastermind behind the burglaries, he retains control over his sons, both of whom are close in age but very different in appearance. The first son, William Randall, is tall and broad-shouldered with a small, disproportionate head. The younger brother, Melvin Randall, is of a somewhat weaker constitution and is as skinny as a rake. The gang is wanted not only for their frequent thefts and break-ins, but for the exceptionally brutal pirate career they enjoyed before returning to England. Be alert, and may your valuables stay safe.
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
Hey, can you open the safe?
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband's safe. I do not know the combination.
We have to open it.
We have to.
Your ladyship?
She can, maybe.
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Okay, so... Yeah, we'll come back to that. Alright. Oh, let's look at the dead guy.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
These are French windows she mentioned. I can't open that. There's a well. Fountain. Someone's got a noisy dog. Oh no, I don't want to leave. What's this here? Can't go in there. Sure, we'll be able to at some point. Anything over here? Oh, what's this? Another newspaper. Can I get it? So...
A decanter standing next to the open bottle. An inseparable pair indeed. Chateau Calon-Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing.
What is beeswing? I don't...
There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other two are clear.
I have no idea what any of that means, but...
A fur trader's cabin.
The dude is a hunter. We'll check out the body in a second. Clock.
The hunting scene. A bottle of wine is missing here.
It's on the table.
These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France. This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen.
Yeah, it'd be really easy to steal it too.
An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware.
Which, if they had her tied up, and he's dead, I mean, you'd be able to, right? Like, alright.
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. There are no other apparent injuries.
Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. That must be the murder weapon. Barefoot. He had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress. The head was cracked with the force of the blow. It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation.
It's prompting me for this for some reason. What am I looking at here? What am I looking for here? It's a piece.
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
That's used to call servants, isn't it? But they had her tied up. Why would they bother to cut it?
The death was instant.
Okay.
A deer hunt. This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there. Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me.
Gee, I wonder who that could be.
This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to.
They did say the dude was pretty tall. Okay, so that's everything in here. Let's go talk to her. Three glasses on the
There are
table.
3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his 2 sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
Your ladyship?
Okay. Oops. Alright, I think... I thought... Should be able to...
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
I'm wondering if cause see, I have a new controller. I'm wondering if this does not vibrate. It's not. Just go through it. So go the other way. Alright, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to look it up because for whatever reason it's not vibrating and it's weird. So, bear with me just 1 second. Let's see.
Let us try to open this safe.
Alright, I found it.
This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Okay. Yeah. other stuff? No, just the photograph, okay.
This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one?
I don't know. Maybe it's on the back.
So the lady and her maid came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
So we're just gonna steal your picture. Alright, let me try this again.
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Is that right, left, right? Oh, there we go, okay. Okay, that's what they meant by dial. I wasn't even paying attention to those red things. Do just a little bit at a time. Thought I saw. Oh, there we go. There we go. Medical report. Sir Eustace, your current physical and mental state is of great concern. There are several signs of a hepatic decompensation. Last time that we met, your eyes were bloodshot and your skin was tinged with the yellow. There's a particular odor from your breath that is common in those suffering from liver damage. Then there are the lung abscesses that we have discussed. The leg cramps that you have described to me are caused by an alteration to the nervous system, which in turn is caused by an excess of alcohol. That includes the tremors. Your liver seemed excessively hard at the time of your examination, which is a sign of an evolving cirrhosis. There are also signs of ascites, fluid of the peritoneal cavity, which are evident with your swollen stomach. The pain beneath your left rib indicates a pancreatic malady, which may lead to fatal and fulminant pancreatitis. Your condition may pose a risk to others. Your excessive alcohol consumption lowers your self-control and heightens your aggression. I'm available to help you with this problem. There are a number of treatment options. Yes, he's literally drinking himself to death.
Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care. It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal.
Yeah, why didn't they still that, and why didn't they ask her where the safe was or anything? They just grabbed silverware and left. That's weird to me. Okay, what's this? Maybe, did she know about it?
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
What view? History of violence.
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behaviour.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man. A detestable human being, to be more precise. It is true that he once threw a decanter at me And all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead. But a devil he was, if ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. Wonder with his title and his money and his false London ways. If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was specially hard for her.
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
Very defensive of her, charge. Hey, Watson.
This house feels rather sinister.
Oh,
I can't say that I like...
You're a doctor, like... Sir Eustace's reputation.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight. Another day he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
He lit his wife's dog on fire? What the fuck? Jesus Christ, okay, okay, yeah. We gotta go get Toby now. Let's go get our pup. I'm waiting to use him. Alright, we'll see. Oh, a bunch of them. Oh, dear Lord. Okay, so, criminals identified. Randalls are well known. Randall gained the testimony's evidence match point to the Randall gain. But the robbery is fictional story invented in order to blame Sir Eustace's death on the Randalls. I'm gonna go with this for now. Jeez. Inspector's tales. There's a severe drinking problem. She's from Australia. And she doesn't have much of a social life. Lady Brackenstall married Sir Eustace shortly after arriving in England and remained at home during that time. It's not a possibility that she made her acquainted with anyone in the country. Lady is acquainted with someone from the Rock of Gibraltar. I'm gonna go with that for now. The Bell Reponcho was tied with the sailor's knot. Let's see. 2 glasses of the true safety can of wine without bee swing. Glasses of wine, a large amount of bee swing. I don't know what bee swing is. If someone would be so kind as to tell me, well, I'll probably Google it. Let's see, there were 3 people drinking wine out of these glasses. One of the 3 probably prefers wine with bee swing. There were 2 people drinking wine out of these glasses. The remaining glass with the bee swing consisted solely of the dregs from the other 2 glasses. I don't know what bee swing is, so we're just gonna leave that alone. Let's see here. Violent behavior. Hold on. Bent poker stain with blood. Dead body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall with fractured skull, yeah. Sir Eustace could have been due to his accidentally striking his head on a fireplace grate. The death of Sir Eustace could have been due to a broken blow. Yeah, I mean, because the spray of blood or whatever could have just gotten on there. Alright, Spectre's tail. Behavior, yes. Eustace was violent towards his wife. That is a fact. That is a definite fact. Was notified. Nope. Okay. Alright. That's enough for now. Did say that they were pirates. So they would have knowledge of doing a sailor's knot. Alright, Toby.
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case.
Come on, boy. Let's go back to the place we just were. Puppy! Like little floppy ears. Alright, boy.
Search, Toby.
I'm Toby. What? Oh, this is cool. I knew there was a segment where you get to play as Toby, but I couldn't remember which trail it was. Or which, like, trail. It's only a trail. Which, couldn't remember which case it was. But I'm thinking at the end of the game, we'll look at the result of each case, and we'll see how many I got right. I've played this game before, but I've never checked to see what my answers were, correct or not. Can I run? Yeah, I can. Oh, I knew we'd be going in here eventually.
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware. The scent leads to the well. I should check it. The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why they chose such a winding route.
That's a good question. Good boy, Toby. Alright, so let's check the shed first.
This hook might be useful.
Okay, I guess, okay.
This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest. Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved.
Okay. Doesn't really tell me anything, but okay. Wait,
There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it? The bucket can be easily removed. Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence.
What?
The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
Why? Hold on. Let me... Teresa, yes, okay. Down I ran to find her tied to the chair and on the floor with his head smashed. Heard she was reading her book. She went to go get a candle. She approached the window. She saw one of the thieves. Stepped in to the window. Knocked her out. She came to. She was tied to the chair. Husband entered the room. And they whacked him. She fainted again. And then when she came to the second time, they were gone. She must have yelled. And the maid came. If she was tied to the chair and passed out, and he was dead, why would they dump the silverware down the well? Wouldn't they have just, like, booked it out? Why go to the trouble of stashing that if... This doesn't make any sense to me, like... Hold on. Let's see what this is. Robbie could have been imitated to explain Sir Eustace's death. The silverware was not supposed to be found. Robbie's confirmed as a motive for the crime. The criminals may have plans to return for the silverware that they dumped. But why would they dump it if they already have it? And the dude's dead, she's knocked out, servant lady doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, imitated. Just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Harvard's faked the little stories of it in order to blame Sir Eustace's death on the Randalls. I kind of believe that now. Not sure what... Well, let me Google it. Let's find out. We'll learn something new here. Was it bee swing? What is bee swing? Byproduct of winemaking. What is this? Crystallizes in wine casks during the fermentation of grape juice and can precipitate out of wine in bottles. The crystals will often form on the underside of a cork in wine-filled bottles that have been stored at temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius, or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and will seldom, if ever, dissolve naturally into the wine. These crystals also precipitate out of fresh grape juices, but chilled are let to stand for some time. Crude form is collected and purified to produce the white, odorless, acidic powder used for many culinary and other household purposes. Huh. So is it just like... Huh. Wine with... Wine with exclusive glass with the base wine consists solely of the dregs. The other... I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah. This is weird. We found your stolen silverware, lady. Or you know what? Let's wait. You know what? No. Let's not wait. I have the stolen silverware.
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Hey, lady, I got your silverware.
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your ladyship?
What about you? Let's gauge your reaction.
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
I recognize that voice. She does a bunch of the voices in the original, like Assassin's Creed and stuff. Alright, let's go and do some experiments. See if we can do some chemistry stuff. I don't know, like, I drink wine, but I don't know enough about it. Like, I'm not like a connoisseur or whatever, like, I have my favorite brand and I drink it. I don't know how bee swing would change a taste or what, I don't know.
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope. The fibers from this cut appear to be different. The fibers from this cut appear to be different. If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original. My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
Bow rope was not torn, but cut with a knife as sharp as the type which sailors use. Bow rope on the chair was tied with the sailor's knot. Rope was cut once with a sharp knife and tied quickly in sailor's knots that could indicate that the intruder had a sailor's background. Let's do... Vandals are guilty. Well, maybe she did know someone from the Rock of Gibraltar. And maybe it was two people. And it was an imitated robbery. And the Randalls were blamed because they were in the newspapers. Visitor Eustace was murdered by the one person who was visiting that night. It was he who tied up Lady Brackenstall. He is tall and strong. Maybe. Look for Sailor. The person who was visiting that night was probably Sailor. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see where this takes us. Let's see where this line of reasoning goes. Well, if I'm gonna look for sailor suspects, should probably... What's this? Search Rock of Gibraltar, 1893. Oh, okay. Yeah, 3. Rock of Gibraltar's arrival. Arrival of the Rock of Gibraltar. Ship returned. The Rock of Gibraltar, a bulk carrier from the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, Cunard Building, James Street, London, has returned from a 6-month voyage through India, New Zealand, and Australia. Ship brought to England Miss Mary Fraser, the heiress of the Fraser family, owning land and tin mines in Australia. This reportedly beautiful young lady is presently engaged to Sir Eustace Brackenstall, one of the wealthiest gentlemen in Kent.
Here it is.
So that was a ship.
The shipping company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire.
Oh no, I don't need to peep on the lady who seems to stare at my house the whole time. Yo, Wiggins.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893, and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
3 hours later.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
Mr. Charles W. Chill, Mr. Jack Crocker, Mr. Henry Southward, Mr. Ernest J. Woods, Mr. Thomas Walker, Mr. Herbert Whittington, Mr. William Cartledge. Departure from Adelaide, Australia on March 16, 1893. Arrival in London, England on May 23, 1893. Let's look at the character portraits really quick. Teresa is very attached to her mistress and has known her for a considerable time. She was the only resident servant at the Abbey Grange, cooking for, serving, and nursing Lady Brackenstall. She would not hesitate to protect her in the event of any trouble. Lady Brackenstall, not quite 25, is from a wealthy Australian family. She has been married for a little more than a year. She has in all probability suffered physical violence over the course of the last fortnight. Lady lives a solitary lifestyle, seldom venturing outside. Okay.
This Crocker, do you think...
Possibly.
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him.
Take some money, find the guy.
Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Sometime later.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why.
Alright. Okay, look. Honest. Strong build. Newspaper ink. I can see that clearly says sea knife. Boots. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, Lady Brackenstall.
You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her. From when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay, found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right, if there was no evidence.
What then?
You tied her up, got all kinky.
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Sailor's knots.
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed, anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Shark. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No. There is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
Harper's a fine man of the sea, aged in his 40s. He's a capable, honest man, and well educated despite not being very wealthy. He was in haste, and still he read the morning newspaper and cleaned his boots before heading out. Because there was blood on it? Captain Crocker, a silly sailor, was aboard the wreck of Gibraltar with Lady Brackenstall and her maid, and who is currently in London. Captain Crocker knows Lady Brackenstall may be lying about his occupation on the night of the murder. Crocker's line is well, but it's clear he appeared as soon as he heard that I was looking for him, thus signaling his guilt. Captain Crocker was aboard the Sharp on the night of the murder. He was not afraid to confront me. He had a confident demeanor. That he did, and I think the honest characteristic is important. Because why would it say he looks honest if he's lying? So, unless... Captain's hold on. No acquaintance. What? Domestic accident. The death of Sir Eustace was an accident caused by a struggle with his wife. Brackenstall and her maid committed the crime in self-defense, so you decide that there's no point in blaming this poor woman. Lady Brackenstall and her maid killed Sir Eustace, attempted to cover their crime. They deserve to be treated like criminals. Can I go, like... I wonder, can I go talk to her about the captain? If I, like, can I just, like, ask her if she knows the guy? I'm gonna see if maybe it'll let me.
Oh, what a horrible thing to have happened.
Please leave my Mary alone. She suffered so much. She... I really wish... It's like the picture's gone, but I can't look at it again, like... Because I didn't really look at it that... Also guilty, she was murdered by one person who was visiting that night. The murderer's tall and agile. High-ranking sailor. Sounds a little tough. I do remember her. Blah, blah, blah. I mean... Does she have any... I mean... I feel like I can't... It was clear. He appeared as soon as he heard that I was looking for him, signaling his guilt. He was probably just curious, honestly, like... I mean, even if you're innocent, if an investigator is like, hey, I want to talk to you, you're gonna go just out of curiosity.
guess it was a domestic accident? I don't know. I mean, there's really nothing that tells me that either one of them has experience with sailor's knots, but I mean, it's not like you can't learn how to tie a knot, like... God, this is a tough one. It could go three ways. I don't think it's the robbery. Definitely not, because, yeah, it's stupid. Why would you dump the shit you stole? Sailor's knots, though, huh? Found all the... Oh, God. Stolen agile, alright, good sailor. But she is not... Like, they're not saying anything. I mean, well, fuck it, I'm gonna say it's a domestic accident. And... In this case, because of the domestic violence, I'm going to absolve her. Yes. We'll see how this goes.
Ladies, I know the full story. You are both guilty, are you not?
Mr. Holmes, I can explain everything.
No, madam, he's bluffing.
It is no use. Your husband was a violent man, a cruel man. Your argument last night ended tragically, with him stumbling and falling, fatally striking his head upon the fireplace grate. However, your mise en scène to divert suspicion was unnecessary. You should have admitted the truth.
The truth is often subjective, Mr. Holmes.
Not to me.
What will you tell Inspector Lestrade?
He will find nothing, as he handed the case over to me. Farewell, ladies. Inspector, I'm afraid that the murderers have escaped us.
What? Do you mean to tell me that you failed? Never thought I'd live to see the day.
I mentioned the murderers, not the case. It is obvious that the crime was committed by 3 criminals who cannot be the Randalls.
You really think so?
You only need to find a gang of 3 thugs wandering around. I can trust you to do that.
If they exist, I'll catch them.
You'll find someone, I have no doubt of it. Goodbye, Inspector.
Sorry, there, guys. The death of Sir Eustace was an accident caused by a struggle with his wife. The lie of Lady Brackenstall and her maid was compromised. It was a mitigating circumstance, legitimate self-defense. It allowed them to go free without revealing the truth to Lestrade. I mean... the only reason I'm picking this is because of the honest thing that he observes, because that just seems really important. Like, if he was going to be lying, they wouldn't have put that there, so we're just going to accept it. Yeah. I'm neutral now. That's okay. Nothing wrong with being a little neutral. Alright, wow. So, yeah, we just plowed through that whole case. No problem at all. So we're gonna stop here. We will start the Kew Gardens drama next Friday. See how that goes. I think we've probably only got a couple more cases to go before the end of the game. But yeah, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. All of that makes me happy and helps keep me motivated and encourages me, which is always good. So, thank you for watching. Have a good weekend. Bye.